Hello, guys and girls, and welcome. Welcome. I didn't get to play yesterday because I was busy, unfortunately. But I did make a video, and I put out a video, so at the very least I got to do that. And I want to get back into leveling up my Druid a little bit today. I got to go to work tonight, so I want to get started a little bit early. And see if I can get a little bit of just do janks done. Let's see who's online today. Looks like Leon and Iman are online. Let's go say hi. What's up, Leon? What's up, Iman?
What's going on?
How's everything going? I put out my my video with positive remarks on Diablo 4, and I'm actually kind of surprised that a lot of people agree.
Yeah, I was reading the comments earlier today. I think all of them were positive that I was reading.
Yeah, I don't think I saw a single one that was negative. Makes you wonder. It's almost like, and I told my girlfriend this. It was almost like someone is like just deliberately running a smear campaign, just for the sake of it. But then at the same time, she pointed out that like people get views from pooping on stuff. Like they people like clicking on the links where the guy's got his leg up and there's like a turd hanging half out on top of the icon. Like they really like that kind of stuff. So maybe that's just all it is. Maybe the other YouTubers are just they're view farming basically, or hate farming. Isn't it called hate farming? Basically, where you just make a video on something because you know people hate it and then you just farm in the views.
Yep.
I gotta figure out how to make this boy stronger. He needs to be stronger. I'm not sure Great Staff of the Crone is the right move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the problem with the Great Staff of the Crone is that it just ties up way too many aspects, and now I can't do what I want to do. I can't do what I want to do.
I have that problem with the Bloodlands build. It requires 3 aspects just to get going, and it's just like that's a lot of aspects. Like as soon as you add in 1 unique, you're just screwed.
Well, I mean, especially a 2-handed unique that doesn't just consume 1 aspect; it consumes 2 aspect slots. So, I mean, at that point, now I've lost, like on this particular build, I just lost, like the rapid aspect and then like the Edge Masters aspect, which are 2 of like the more powerful aspects for this build, so I just can't use either one of them.
I'm not ready yet.
Either that or just sacrifice other aspects that I'd rather not sacrifice. So, I'm in a pickle. I'm in a pickle. A pickle.
I'm not ready yet.
I mean, if I grab, like, increased attack speed on my helmet, and then the gloves already have it, so I mean, I guess if I could get, like, a perfect attack speed roll on the Pain Gorgers. I mean, the problem is that that's like the most increased attack speed I can get outside of the rapid aspect.
Rapid is so important, and I haven't even played my character because I just got Melted Heart last night, and I had to drop Rapid, and I haven't played him yet. But it's like it's not just because it's attack speed; it's because, from what I understand, I watched a video last season. Someone broke down attack speed scaling, and there's like 2 separate brackets of attack speed, and each are capped at 100. But if you dip from both brackets, you can go above that. So, and Rapid is in its own side. So if you don't use Rapid, you're basically missing so much attack speed.
Oh, I know. Rapid is the rapid aspect, especially when it's on like a 2-hander or something, is just insane. Rob has a video up where his construct solos Lilith and Duriel. Yeah, I mean it's not even these are the same people that literally were saying that the construct was absolutely useless about like 2 days ago. Nothing's changed, by the way. The essential is still the same power level it was before. They didn't give it like magical uber powers like in that patch. It's the same essential. So it was able to solo Lilith and Duriel pre-patch while they were shitting on it, and then now that the patch came out, now all of a sudden they're like, oh, look how powerful it is.
There was a video yesterday of the solo that was like 3 minutes on a short, but Rob's today, I think, does it in like a couple seconds. It's insane what that Essential can do to Duriel and Will. It's basically Firefly and what's the other one they use? It might be Tempest. But Firefly is like crazy scaling with all the multi-proj and everything. I guess the projectiles come back and hit multiple times, like piercing, and I think that's the combo that really sets it off.
Yeah, I'm using that right now. That's it was one of the combos that I had planned for this build. Was well, of course I also had to put Reconstruct back in because I was dying. But Firefly was like the main thing I was thinking of. Firefly plus Tempest, and I was gonna run like, you know, like the multi-shot, all the beautiful things. I was trying to just go for like full offensive with this character. Of course, I need to get access to the Melted Heart before I'm gonna like have the full offensive. I'm gonna go back to it though. I thought the registered damage support would be pretty effective too.
Yeah, that might be another one. Here, I can actually tell you exactly. So Firefly, Seeking, Multi-Shot, Piercing. Those are the three. Seeking, Multi-Shot, Piercing. Tempest, Swift, Efficiency, Breaking is what they were using in the video.
Yeah, because the barrier breaker is freaking insane. We've been talking about that one since like day one.
That one's amazing.
Let's go to the multiple training damage. So many numbers on the screen. It's absolutely stupid. Especially with the whole Pain Gorger thing, where it's literally just reflecting all my damage from one target to the others.
Yeah. I'm curious how a basic Necro with Bone Splinters would do, since you can scale the resource, right? Like, how crazy is that? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I could go log on to mine and check mine and see what my damage is running like. I mean, I technically have like all of the modifiers currently set up.
So you would just have to swap to basic.
I could swap some points over and just cap it out real quick, and then.
And just kind of see what you're hitting for.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because you can throw Melted Heart on. You have like 300 resource almost or something. Like my barb's at 313 right now without the potion, which is insane.
Yeah, I could go a little bit higher too. It's nuts. Like I'm not really sure what they were thinking when they moved Melted Heart from 30 to 60 too, because like, that's even more.
They're thinking about us. They love our builds. They're like, we need to give them Melted Heart. That's better because they love it.
So many hate videos. People like to hate on stuff. I mean, I've made my fair share of critical videos on Diablo 4. I'm
Yep.
definitely not shy on the topic, but I don't know, I'm also not the kind of guy who just simply hates on something just to hate on it. Like, they did a pretty good job with this season. I don't know what people are expecting. Like, I get the feeling that what happened is they got all hands on deck for season 2, and they went all out, and like when your girlfriend's mad at you, and you buy her like a box of chocolates and flowers, and you take her out to the movies, and then you like take her out to a fancy restaurant, and she's so happy and excited with the day that you gave her, and then the next day she wants the same thing, and you're like, babe, I ain't rich. Like, we ain't doing that every day. And then she gets upset with you that you only bought her like a box of chocolate and flowers instead of like the whole shebang. And then you just gotta tell her, you're like, all right, come on, like I can't do everything. I mean, not every season is gonna be the all-out whiz-bang trophy run of the season 2. It's just not gonna happen.
Well, I said this before, but people are not separating the base content that was added in season 2 versus the actual season content. Because this
That
season
also,
content is way better than season 2's season content.
But I also feel like you shouldn't separate it, because I feel like this season also has benefited from those same enhancements.
Right. But it was new, but that season. So people are clumping that in as a season. Oh, season 2 had 4 new bosses and an end game and all these new ways to get items, and it's like, no, that wasn't season 2. That was the game being improved. Like,
I agrees with you, I still think neither season 2 nor season 3 would be any good at all without those base changes, though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
They'd be garbage.
And we need like 10 more of those base changes, and we have like a crazy game.
They'd be garbagian.
And I keep saying, one of the simple things, just add rune drops in. Forget about rune words for a second. Just rune drops alone make the loot more interesting, more exciting. Just to see runes dropping and collecting them. And then everything else that comes with them could be great.
Alright, so one of the problems with Bone Splinters is that Bone Splinters is a multi-hit. It kind of like splits its damage up between like multiple hits of the ability.
Yeah.
So it might not necessarily be a good target for a basic skill build. I mean, it looks like I'm getting around like 20k Bone Splinters here, with some overpowers going into like the 40,000 range.
Really? That seems small. But I guess you're hitting times
That's
4.
That's 297%, and I'm running all the modifiers. I got Ossified Essence. I've got the all the passives. Got plenty of freaking doojigs. I'm running the Serration aspect, which gives you the 40% multiplier above 50 essence when cast. I mean, I think the only thing that I'm not running is Edge Masters. I don't have Edge Masters on, which I should, and I don't, because I haven't found another ring yet. I need another good ring with max essence on it.
I guess it has such a low base damage. I guess that's the problem.
I mean, here I got a 20% Edge Masters loop. I'll lose a little bit of doojanks for it, but 28k crits. I mean, nothing too fancy.
Yeah, I think that's too low to be viable as a basic build.
I mean, the other thing is that Bone Splinters now fires off 18 of them. So, if you were to try and build that as a basic build, I mean, you could also fire off the 18 that come out of the Bone Splinters. So you could use the Shattered Loop, which is simply... You wouldn't even have to necessarily use Bone Spirit as a main skill, but... You just use the Shattered Loop and just fire off all the Bone Splinters, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. It definitely doesn't seem to do an amazing amount of damage. It does not. Wonder how much damage you could pump out of Decompose. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Decompose has some pretty crazy abilities, actually.
It has aspects too, I think.
Oh, it's got a lot of aspects.
I need more time.
That's the one thing I don't like about Necro's key passes is they're too specific to archetypes like blood, shadow, bone. I wish they were more generic, kind of like we were talking about itemization.
Oh, I got a whole idea for a video on itemization. I want to talk about it. Like, I think it's a whole topic that can be discussed. As good as the itemization is in Diablo 2, I feel like that Diablo 2 still even made some of the mistakes that are currently being made in Diablo 4. And then Diablo 3 was freaking riddled with those mistakes. There wasn't hardly no items in that game that were worth using. All the whites were worthless. All the blues were worthless. All the rares were worthless. Most, if not all, of the Hellfire amulets and rings were worthless. There's only a couple that were actually useful, and they put a lot of effort into making those freaking Hellfire rings and amulets too. Most of the sets were actually useless. They were like low-level sets that basically did absolutely nothing and had no actual usefulness whatsoever. Most of the legendary items were useless as well, with basically being like a handful that you would use with the other builds, and that pretty much left you with the endgame sets, and that was like the only thing you used, and you tied in a couple of the legendary items. I mean, it was really bad in D3, the itemization, so bad. Whereas Diablo 4 seems to be kind of like a mix of the two. It's like they keep leaning toward the bad itemization of Diablo 4, but then they have these moments of like lucidity where they understand finally like where they're going wrong, and then they create items like Pain Gorgers or like Frostburns or like Fists of Fate, and then you have like these items that are more open to itemization and like all the classes. But then they come out with, this season, they came out with 4 out of the 6 uniques were very restrictive. Like, one build, one class. Like, that's what you play. And as cool as I think adding in some of those items are, like, in this short term.
There needs
like,
to be a ratio.
Yeah, peppering them in, I think, is fine. But yeah, there needs to be, like, a ratio of, like, maybe, like, 75%.
Generic.
Like Pain Gorger type items. And then like 25%, more specific, because the problem with specific items is that you're shooting yourself in the foot, is what you're doing. I mean, like imagine you have a whole crowd of people, 1 million people strong, and you've got enough people to service all these people with ice cream, and they are hungry for ice cream. They are just starving for ice cream, and the only thing you brought was mint chocolate chip. It's like. And only like maybe 200,000 of those 1 million people will even like mint chocolate chip. And then only like 100,000 of those 200 actually like it. The other 100,000 will tolerate it. And only like 50,000 of that 100,000, it's actually their favorite, right? So all you've really done in the long term by only bringing one flavor is you've just isolated your market completely. And now very few people actually want what you're selling, right? And if you bring something more generic, and I hate to say vanilla, but vanilla is a more generic flavor, I think across the board, most people enjoy vanilla. It's not like their favorite, right? But across the board, like pretty much all 1 million people would probably grab a vanilla cone if you had one. If you didn't have anything else, they'd be like, sure, give me vanilla, right? Or maybe chocolate. Like maybe just vanilla and chocolate, right? Those are like your 2 generic flavors that everybody will grab at least one of the 2. But when you bring some hyper-specific, like pistachio, almond, cranberry, like good luck selling that to the 1 million people. You're going to sell that to a handful at best. And that's kind of what itemization is like. It's like this thing where it's like, okay, let's make an item, and then but the item is so oddly specific, like Flamescar, for instance. Flamescar is in the game. Flamescar is a very oddly specific item that works only for Incinerate. Right? And Incinerate isn't even really the most popular skill in the game. It wasn't the most popular skill in Diablo 2 with Inferno either. And channeling skills in general aren't really the most popular skill. So then Flamescar is relegated to this support of a skill that nobody wants to use.
I feel like the same could be said about the aspects. Like the Hoda aspect that makes the Hoda quake out and do like AoE damage. Why can't they just be all core skills have a chance to like quake out? It doesn't matter, like Whirlwind, Upheaval, like any of them, you could just more generic.
Well, like
and then maybe you use it in one
even
build, not the other.
even core skills feels a little bit too
Yeah, it might
too
be. Yeah, yeah.
restrictive. Because take Azure Wrath. Isn't Azure Wrath kind of just completely
Or
pigeonholed by the fact that
yes,
it's core skills?
yes. Yep, it is.
That one always makes me, because when I look at it, I always feel a little bit sad because it looks like a really nice weapon. But then when you realize that the lucky hit proc is on a core skill, and you're like, well, I can't spam core skills. And so because you can't spam core skills, you're just like, okay, well, I guess I won't use this because I know I'm not going to get good use out of it. Because to get good use out of any lucky hit, it's gotta be spammed. Like it has to be. And they basically, that's what they're doing to you there, is they're just like, oh, okay, well, it's, you can't spam this, so. That's not a terrible. It doesn't have crit on it, but. Huh.
Yeah, I don't understand why Doombringer needs to have core skill damage as a stat. Take that off right now and put something else.
I mean, and speaking of like hyper specific, like we really need to work on, and this is something that I hope they work on in 4. I was going to talk about this in my video too, is they really need to stop with the hyper specific modifiers too. Like I'm tired of seeing critical strike with bone skills. I'm just tired of seeing like bonus
Just
maximum essence, bonus maximum fury, bonus maximum spirit. Like when you hyper specifies the modifiers like that, it just gets really ugh.
Especially when you've already added in T-bolts, which as just maximum resource, which is generic. Just make that the new thing across all the everything.
Like I could just look through my inventory right now, and I could probably come up with like 10 of them. Like overpower with werebear skills. Why does it have to be werebear skills specifically? Why can't it just be overpower? Like why not just combine all that into the same stat? That's all that's doing is just needlessly restricting that item to werebear only. Then you're not just restricting it to the Druid. You're not just restricting it to the Druid Shapeshifter. You're not just restricting it to the Druid Shapeshifter werebear, but you're restricting it to the Druid Shapeshifter werebear overpower, which is just way too fine of a cocaine line there. Hardly any cocaine in that line. I mean, and a lot of these are like this. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are really all that enthused about damage versus close and damage versus distant either. I think those are kind of like close is okay, and distant is pretty much just like yuck, unless you have some sort of modifier that multiplies with it. And then there's all these ones that like separate out damage over time effects and solid damage effects of different elements. So you have like damage over time, or like plus % damage over time. Then you have like plus % shadow damage over time. Then you have plus % bleeding over time. Then you have like plus % poison over time. And like there's like 3,000 of them damn things. And then there's damage over time. And there's like each individual element on top of that. And then there's non-physical. I think you could just crush all of the elementals, like fire, lightning, ice, cold, etc. Just crush that into non-physical. I think you could just crush it all into non-physical. I don't really understand why we need like 17 different modifiers for each element and each damage over time effect. I tried out Last Epoch a while ago, David. I'll probably give it another try when it launches, but it was really underbaked when I tried it out the first time. I had a bad time. I'll say that much. It was not a good time. It was a bad time. It was a very bad time. I feel bad. That ring's not bad. I'm gonna hang on to that ring.
That looks worn. I can fix it.
I'm gonna try and give it Last Epoch another try when it launches. But I really hope they took some time to fix a lot of the problems. I mean, I could go over some of the problems with you. It was in beta when I did it, but A lot of the problems basically had to do with like just really silly stuff, like the shift key not holding your character skill, not being able to click and attack at the same time, the monster diversity being very underwhelming. Basically every single pack and every single like group that I fought was very much so the same exact group of monsters. Like I swear it was like somebody designed like 7 monster types for the game, and then every single pack was essentially those same 7 monster types with different skins. Like there was the big hulky monster, whoa, and then there was like the regular soldier dude number 7, and then there was like the archer guy, and then there was like the magey duty guy, and then there was like the little tiny itty bitty guy, and like whenever you went to fight anything in Last Epoch, it didn't matter what the way were, pirates, demons, undead, whatever. It was literally the same exact monsters every single encounter with just different skins. But literally you could tell that it was literally just the same big giant guy with the same exact move set, the same exact abilities. It's just he had a different skin on. And it didn't take me very long to realize this. And by the time I did realize it, the game started to get very boring because there was like no monster diversity whatsoever. I mean, and I understand, like, developing each individual monster probably takes a lot of time, but I don't know. I mean, it just seemed really off-putting just to have all the monsters be basically identical, functionally identical, abilities are identical. Everything is basically identical about them except for, like, the way they look. I mean, did they not think that people were going to notice? I mean, I feel like they should have realized people would have noticed. It doesn't take very long to notice either. I was actually excited because I remember I got to one area and there was these big spiders, and I was excited to see the spiders because it was like the first time I had like a different monster besides the regular crap monsters they showed me all the time. Is the Zoltan statue in the vault or is it in the gate hall? I'm not sure. Speaking of, I need to go finish my quest. Man, my schedule's all messed up. I'm all like super tired. But I just slept a whole bunch. Yeah, I think one of the key components of this character is speed. And if I can't make the character fast enough, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. He needs to attack really, really, really fast. Does Tempest Roar turn Claw into a Storm skill?
Yes, it would do that.
So, I
As well.
mean, I could go the opposite route, which is instead of using Great Staff of the Crone, use Tempest Roar and then run Claw. Then I'd free up 2 slots, go with a one-hander for speed. And then I could tag on Edge Masters and Rapid Aspect. See how that goes instead. Do I have a Tempest Roar yet? I do not. I got a Vasili's Prayer. I got a Vasiline's Prayer. Tempest Roar turns Storm into Werewolf, not the other way around. I remember it was one or the other. So that probably won't work either. I mean, if I just take off the staff and I go with Storm Strike instead, I mean, not really sure. Claw is just so much faster than freaking Storm Strike. New content, the Lunar Awakening is coming. What's the Lunar Awakening? What's that, Philip? Lunar Awakening.
Is there a scheduled dev chat anytime soon?
It was
Um,
something as a trailer 2 hours ago. Let's take a look at it.
Okay.
Something called the Lunar Awakening limited time event.
Ancestors must be having some fun. Even heard the shrines throughout the land are rippling with their spirit. Granting fortune to those who earn it. You're pretty good at winning over the ancestors. For a demon's lair. Keep it up. The night's still young. Better go revel in their boons while you still can. Who knows how long this awakening will last?
February 6th to the 20th. It looks like a Chinese event, if I had a guess. A lot of the times the Chinese games will have this like you know, like Year of the Monkey or like Year of the Sheep or whatever. Like I don't know all of them, but like whenever there's like a specific big event, they usually kind of like incorporate it into the games. It kind of looks like that might be some sort of holiday. Let's see here.
The Bone Splinters build we just saw about the basic wasn't doing a lot of damage, but if it was basically your Bone Spirit build with the basic combo, it would work just fine, probably, right?
For what?
Like just as a build, like Bone Splinters plus Bone Spirit or whatever, like both together.
Yeah, or Bone Splinters plus Bone Spirit. I mean, if you're going to do Bone Splinters as a basic, I would do Bone Spirit so you can get that extra 18
The combo,
18 shots that comes out of Bone Spirit.
pretty interesting.
It's in the new patch, or it's been like this.
What's the Chinese New Year? Let's see. Chinese New Year 2024. What's the date? The Lunar New Year of 2024 is this year's animal and why it's also called the Lunar New Year. I guess that would be it. Lunar New Year, also called the Chinese New Year, is approaching, and the celebration raises many questions. Where is it celebrated? And what animal represents the 2024 lunar calendar? The Lunar New Year is most commonly celebrated in China and Asian countries. That's why you also see it called the Chinese New Year. It starts with the first new moon of the lunar calendar and ends on the first full moon about 15 days later. The lunar calendar is based on moon cycles, so the date of the Lunar New Year celebration can change slightly each year. Here's everything you need to know about the Lunar New Year of 2024. What animal is it for this year? 12 symbols. Here are the animals and with birth years they are associated with. It doesn't say which animal it is this year, though. Is this the year of the dragon? Is this the Gragon? Is it a Gragon year? Might be the dragon year. Might be the dragon. Let's see if I can find out which year it is. It is the dragon year. So this year is the year of the dragon. That explains why in the trailer... oh, there it is right there. Overwatch Year of the Dragon. I could have just pulled up this panel instead of spending like a bunch of time searching on the internet. Look at me doing research and stuff. And they're over here. They got it like straight up on the thing. So yeah, it's the Year of the Dragon. That's what that's all about. I thought they do this a lot of the times for like some of these games. I usually don't see it in like Diablo games, but now Year of the Kubus would be Year of the Dog, and the dog is I don't know what year that is actually. Year. It looks like it's just going to be a limited time event, specifically for the holiday. Looks kind of cool, I guess. It's got some cosmetics for it. I saw a dragon mount looking thing in there. That was kind of neat. The dragon mode. Is the mutilator not living up to your expectations?
I like the mutilator. I like what it does. The one problem I have with this build is AoE damage. I have 3 aspects dedicated to the build and a unique now. So 4 items like just dedicated to the skill, and it does less than just Blood Surge, which only needs 1 aspect. You know, like Blood Surge, you just pop it, and yeah, you like it's like popcorn. But it does AoE, and it blows up the whole screen, and it does single target. Bloodlands, like you throw all these aspects at it, and it's very conditional AoE, and it's not even that good. Like of AoE, you know, it just seems very underwhelming when there's, I don't know, like 30 mobs on you attacking you, and you're trying to get like the whole pack dead.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, maybe I could throw Pain Gorges in, but no, like then I lose an aspect, which I can't afford to lose because it requires 3 aspects just to run the build.
Yeah, it's. I think that's one of the itemization things that we were talking about, and I feel like it comes down to the fact that they've just got way too many aspects for some of these things. Like I don't know how many aspects they think we've got, but your average person who's playing the game has 2 ring slots, which are shared with your resource aspects because they tied all of your resource aspects to rings. And yes, you can use them for offensive aspects if you would please, but in doing so, you lose your resource aspects. So it's kind of like a catch-22. Your amulet ends up being one of your primary offensive aspects, so you really can't use it for defensive or anything. And then they throw all these like 2-handed uniques at us, and the 2-handed uniques end up consuming 2 aspect slots themselves. But we have either 1 or 2 aspect slots in our hands, and then we've got the actual glove slot, which is the only other one we have over on the left-hand side for offensive aspects. But if we're running a 2-handed, unique item like Great Staff of the Crone, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 offensive aspects. That's it, just 4. And
I want to ask you a question.
It's rough.
Do you think this game would be a better game? And I realize this is going to create balance issues, but we already have balance issues. Let's say they could balance it. If no aspect slot was limited to a specific type, you could just build your character. Like, you want to go all defense? Throw 10 defense aspects on. Like, do you think that would be a better game than we have now if you just do what you wanted?
I mean, in Diablo 2, you can make your character as weak as you want, or as glass cannon as you want, or as tanky as you want. I mean, I don't really necessarily see anything wrong with it. I mean, I feel like, especially with certain classes, like cough, Barbarian. Barbarian has, like, all the love in the world when it comes to aspect slots. I mean, he's literally got freaking four aspect slots just for his weapons, and 2 of them are 2-handers. Nobody else even compares to that.
Rogue is the closest, and yeah, it's just missing the 2-hander.
I mean, the Rogue has 1 2-hander and 2 1-handers, but
missing
another 2-hander, though, is a really big boon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's basically 2 regular aspect slots. So even the Rogue comes close, but it's still missing 2 whole aspect slots. And even worse, one of them is a double. So you're basically just like, okay, well, would you rather have two aspect slots or one extra double? I feel like the double is just way more impactful than 2 extra slots, especially when you're already so overflowing with aspect slots. Having an additional double is just insane. I mean, I get it. The Barbarian's whole thing is the arsenal system, but I remember when I first heard about the arsenal system, and I was like, there's no way they're going to let the frickin' Barb have access to all the aspects on all those weapons. It's probably going to be only whatever he's holding in his hand, right? That's what I thought originally. And then when I got in the game, it was like, oh, okay, they all work. I was like, well, this is stupid. And it's no wonder the Barbarian ends up getting overpowered every single time that
they can scale the best.
Yeah, because they can scale the best with their aspects.
Yep, they have the best scaling in the game.
I mean, it kind of makes me want to turn this guy just into like a, I don't know, just a regular like lightning druid or something, and then and then move the basic build over to the Barbarian, because I feel like the Barbarian is the one that can actually do it properly.
Yeah. what's confusing to me too is
On the road.
I feel like when they balance something, they do it the opposite. Like they should be targeting the base skill damage, because that's like very like you're nerfing that ability and that damage. When you nerf a global thing like overpower, it affects the druid, it affects the necro. Like it affects their builds because they're not scaling overpower to like a billions because they don't have like the ability to. You know, it's like it's weird.
Well, I feel like that there's a lot going on here that can definitely be adjusted. Like, first off, you know, if they pulled a lot of this power from the aspects and just simply put it into the skills themselves,
Yes.
I feel like the game would be like 1,000 times better. And I understand that they're trying to like put it into the aspects and that the aspects become part of your character, but like there's just too many. I feel like that's a really big thing here is that there's just too many and some of them are just completely useless. I mean, if you really go through and you look at some of them, like some of them just never get used. And I know they've said a bunch of times that they keep track of this stuff and they know which ones don't get used. Like they apparently are aware of which ones are not being used. And so somewhere along the line, you know, somebody's keeping track of this stuff. But like at what point though haven't they just realized to remove them? Like or in the case of charge, take the power from the aspect and put it with the ability. Like it shouldn't be that difficult to just simply take one of these aspects that's just not getting used at all and just move it onto the actual, you know, the actual ability. One in particular that I know of for a fact that needs to get moved to an ability, or the actual golem, because it never gets used. It's that one that drops every now and then. It's called like the Golem Lord aspect or something, and it gives like the golem an additional chance to like reset his own ability, and then like gives him like an additional chance to spawn a corpse. I don't think anybody has ever used that thing, and I'm pretty sure they've leveled it. I'm pretty sure they've actually like increased the effectiveness of it like 3 separate times because they're hoping for people to use it. And I don't think anybody's ever using that thing. Nobody. Like they need to just give up on that thing, move it to the actual golem, and just call it a day. Because all it does is it just takes up something to drop that nobody wants, and it just represents one of those legendary aspects that nobody's ever going to use. I mean, there's a couple of them within the game. If it weren't for specific items, I don't think anybody would touch some of those aspects. What's up, Xylar?
Doing all right.
Hi, how you doing?
Not bad.
Not bad. We were just talking about all the itemization.
Oh, very cool.
I wonder when we're going to get the information on the changes they're making, itemization. Because
I mean,
it's due next season.
They said they were going to fix a lot of stuff, right? They said they were going to fix the stupid gloves rolling with like +3, +3, and +3 to like 3 different skills. Which happens all the time for some reason. Like all the time. I can't count how many times this season I've literally picked up a pair of gloves. Because I still never found a really good pair of gloves. And I'd be picking up a pair of gloves and it literally says like +3 lightning storm, +3 tornado, +3 shred. And I'm just like, who wants that? Who wants that exactly? Who is that targeted at? Did they implement a looking for gay group feature? Not that I'm aware of.
Your best thing if you want to play with people is to join like something like a kinship, like a guild.
I'm not really sure why people are so excited about like a group finder or something like that. It's a terrible experience. I've played group finders in many different games.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14. I've played group finders in like freaking most MMOs actually that would implement it. There was even a looking for group system in Final Fantasy 11. Like none of it ever really worked very well.
A group finder Xylor is basically a system where you, as a solo player, don't have to interact with any community, don't have to make friends. You basically play the game in your own little bubble. You bring up a UI within the game, and you press join group, and it just like you find what you want to do. You want to do Duriel runs, you just push join Duriel runs, and it queues you up, and you join with like 3 other people that are doing Duriel runs. That's like an example, but you don't talk to them, you don't know them. They don't even have to speak your language. It's like
it's a horrible experience, is what
it's
it
an
is.
oxymoron.
It's a horrible
Sounds
experience.
like Diablo 3 a little bit.
What happens is you end up put in a group with people who don't know what they're doing. Either you yourself are completely useless and you basically get carried, or you join a group and you're literally the only one who actually knows what they're doing and you carry the group. It rarely ever, like whenever I played in MMOs
Works
and had
out,
like
yeah.
it rarely ever works out like to your advantage. Occasionally, and I will give this to the looking for group system, is occasionally you will get put with like decent players, and those decent players will be in a clan. And then what happens is if you play decently while you are in that group with that clan, there's a very good chance they will invite you to the clan, and that will solve all your problems, and you'll never use the looking for group system again.
I'm telling you the truth.
Because once you're in a clan, once you're in a decent clan that has members, you're not going to ever want to press that button again, because you're not going to want to roll the dice on having a crappy group when you can guarantee yourself that you're going to have a good one.
Sounds right. All right.
I think the only people that want LFG groups like are literally just people who are just, they have absolutely no interest in communicating or like being friends with anybody. They just want to hit a button, play the game, and move on. Like it's kind of like similar to Fortnite, actually. Yeah, Fortnite. Because in Fortnite, that's exactly what you do. You just hit the button, you start, you go in, you die, you leave. You hit the button, you start, you go in, you die, you leave. You hit the button, you start, you go in, you die, you leave. And you just repeat that all day long.
Tyler, I'm doing Varshan. Do you need anything from Varshan?
Varshan. I ran like 1,000,000 Varshans. I got like a really crappy great staff for the Crown.
So what does Varshan give this season? The rings or something like
They
that?
didn't update his loot tables. It's the same as last season.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
Okay.
All the new stuff comes from the Beast in the Ice.
Beast and Ice, gotcha.
Yeah, this feels just better than Doombringer, unfortunately. Just getting an aspect slap back just feels better.
I must wait a
I mean, Doombringer is highly defensive. It's amazing, but it's highly defensive.
The 50% attack speed, like the Rathmos aspect, is just like it's insane.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw one streamer with
Making a dent.
60k health. It's like crazy. 60k health.
Oh, I like the Doombringer, don't get me wrong. It just goes back to our conversation where you just don't have enough slots to make a build.
No, you just don't
What?
have enough slots. There's just not enough slots.
As soon as you put on one unique item, you're like, whoa, build's done. Can't do anything.
I'm making a dent in him. That's weird.
And it really does just sit there and like pierce back and forward. It's crazy. It's no wonder that the Firefly works so good against like Duriel and stuff.
Yep.
Seconds. Just playing around with stuff right now with Essential.
very weird, man.
Oh, I was a big fan of the, and I know gasp because you hear me talk crap about Diablo 3 all the time. I was a big fan of the Kunai's Cube, where you could basically just choose legendary aspects. It was actually one of the only ways that legendaries were actually useful in that game because sets pretty much like dominated 90% of your equipment slots. So the Kunai's Cube was actually one of the few ways that you could add legendary effects into your character. I mean, I wouldn't be entirely against having somewhere to just like slot 2 or 3 legendary effects with, you know, no equipment. You just take that legendary effect, put it in there, like whatever it is. Maybe you have like 3 slots, maybe you got like an offensive, a defensive, and a support or something. I don't know.
You're not making a dent in him.
Yeah, the
You can't
Kunai's Cube was actually really fun. That was actually a really fun mechanic in Diablo 3. It was one of the only ways that you could actually customize your character.
I must wait a moment.
Because basically you put on a set, and then
Really
you
weird,
walked
I
over
don't
the cube,
understand.
and then you chose some doojangs.
I must wait a moment.
You need help with something, Iman?
Yeah, I'm not making a dent in version. Yeah.
I think he's got something like 20 mil HP.
I don't think this guy's going to be able to help you with it.
No, I mean, Lunar did before.
Yeah, give me a second to get this last HellTide chest. I can just come kill him real quick.
Yeah. Sorry to bother, but
Oh. It's okay. You just gotta level up your character before you do bosses.
yeah.
Boss.
I just have no Forgotten Souls. Like, I use those things up so much.
Yep, I need Forgotten Souls like crazy too. I mean, one thing is this character might come online a lot better once I actually level him up some. So
Oh.
maybe I might have to give this guy a chance. I don't know. Do I have like a decent... I doubt I have like a 925 staff actually.
Well, a lot of people are trying to do hard content in this game, and they don't have like glyphs activated. They don't have like Paragon boards added. Like I will say, half the power of your character comes from the glyphs and the Paragon board, the other
Paragon
half from
board, yeah.
items.
Yeah.
I know I didn't upgrade the glyphs yet.
Go to the
And just the levels alone, we talked about this many times, give you a ton of HP. Like you have to be high level to get health in this game. You're not taking any hits when you have like 2k health pool.
Well,
You're just not
that's the problem with honestly the way they set the game up, and it's not necessarily the players' fault because I think you and I, Leon, and like some of the other more advanced players, I think we just know, like from experience, but like most of the newer players don't realize just how little life you have comparatively to a higher level player. Like when you go to fight a level 85 monster. A level 85 player has way more life than you do when you're fighting like an 85 monster at level 60. And it's actually crazy just how much more life, like for instance, Leon has than I have right now. I'm currently level 68, so I'm almost 70. I've got 5,361 life. And Leon on his level 100 character is probably rocking like 14, 15k at this point.
Yeah.
He has like 3 times the amount of HP that I have. And so it's not necessarily about being tanky enough. Sometimes it's just about the fact that you just don't have enough HP because that's the way they set it up, so that when the monster hits you, you can't absorb the strike no matter how much damage reduction you have.
On the road.
Because you got to think the cap is 85%. So even if you can get like as close to that cap as humanly possible, if somebody hits you for a hard enough amount of damage and you don't have a high enough amount of health to absorb the hit because they engineered it that way, then 85% of like, 20,000 damage that comes in is still not going to be enough for you to survive if you only got like 4,000 HP. They're just going to one-shot you, even with your maximum damage reduction. Do I think there's any way that the devs could integrate set items into Diablo 3? Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. I think we think the main thing that you need to do to integrate set items is, number one, never go over like 3 pieces per set. We think that's very important. Anything higher than 3 pieces per set, and you get into the telling the player how to play their character like genre, which is kind of what we were talking about earlier, which is just, you know, it's not a good way to go.
I find it hard how you can even have sets in this game with what we just talked about with the limitation on aspect slots too. Like you're gonna, like the character's gonna be so
exactly weird. The aspect slots are going to just completely get ruined by any set that you put in the game. As soon as you put in a set, even if it's just a 3-piece set or a 2-piece set, it's going to pull 2 of your set pieces away. And God forbid one of those set pieces is a 2-hander, because then you've pulled away 4? You pulled away 4 for a 3-piece set.
Yep. And the only place I can see sets in this game is maybe a leveling set. Like you're leveling an alt character, or you get lucky while leveling your first character. You're like, oh man, I got the leveling set. Now I'm gonna blast. You know, it's like a fun thing to have like a leveling thing. But other than that, I cannot see endgame sets in this game at all. It just doesn't fit.
Not only can I not see it, but I really think it would just straight up ruin the itemization entirely. I mean, just think about what the sets did to Diablo 3. Diablo 3 literally went from like legendary items had purpose and legendary items had value to overnight, as soon as they started introducing the sets, nobody cared that the legendary items even existed anymore. Like the only thing they used them for was to destroy them and put them in the Kunai's cube. And then at that point, you know, it was pretty much just which legendary effects can I put in the cube that'll make my character work better. And maybe like 1 or 2 legendary items to fill the 1 or 2 slots that the set didn't consume. And overnight, literally, you went from like, hey, look, these are really good legendary items to like nobody wants that crap.
Probably not.
This is weird.
Aren't some of the unique items set items? No, because you don't have to use any. You don't have to use any unique items together. It's you can use 1, you can use 2, you can use 3. Set items give you bonuses that require you to use the entire set.
You know, Leonardo didn't give me an egg.
That's how it works.
You always get an egg if you spawned it.
It didn't.
It could be in your inventory, like your stash.
I'm looking. It's not there. I even went back in.
It's terrible. You got gypped.
Yeah, bugged.
Gypped.
Delete the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gypped.
Okay, it's not worth rolling. Oh man.
They gypped you so hard.
All right, I'm gonna take a little break. I'll be back.
Okay.
Right.
Boop, boop. Destroying items. Hey, thanks for the like, Dean.
I'm not ready yet.
Give sets an aspect slot. Ugh. Then you're pretty much just telling people to wear sets. You can't do anything like that, because at that point you're pretty much just giving people something, and you're telling them this is superior to everything else that you've got, every other option that you have available to you. Don't ever put on anything else other than this, because you can have this bonus and you can have an aspect. That's a big no. That's a big no-no. You make anything the superior option like that, you might as well just take the other items out of the game, because at that point, And there's no player worth his salt that's not going to look at that and be like, okay, so you're telling me I can have the full set bonus? Yeah. And then I can also put aspects on all the pieces of equipment? Yeah. So why would I ever wear anything other than this set? At that point, you're just going to wear the set, you're going to put on your favorite aspects. It's going to be the same character, except you're also going to get the set bonus.
I have to make some stash space. I'm gonna have to create a mule or something.
I think that two-piece sets and three-piece sets is the way to go, because even in Diablo 2, if you go back and you use Diablo 2 as an example, the two-piece and the three-piece sets are the ones that literally do the best. Those are the ones that people wear. Like, people don't wear the full sets for the most part. Even Tal Rasha's, for all its glory, is not an endgame best in slot set. It's more of a set of convenience because it's easy to put together early on in the game, and it gives you enough power that you can actually complete content, but it's by no means best in slot for pretty much any of the builds. You're better off with like any other pieces of equipment for, you know, like a fire, ice, or lightning sorceress. And the thing is that, well, I mean, while it is nice early on, the main sets that people actually utilize are usually 2- and 3-piece sets, like Death's Gloves and Death's Belt, which is a very common 2-piece set bonus, or you know, like
That's an angelic one for the attack rating.
Yeah,
or
like
whatever.
Angelic Amulet and Rings. It's a 3-piece. People don't utilize it. Even in Diablo 2, they do not utilize more than 2- or 3-piece sets. Even Trangs, which is an entire set, literally still is only really used with the 3-piece. The 3-piece combo is the main thing that people use for that. It's the wing, the gloves, and the belt. That's the pieces that people use. They don't use the rest of the set. Or they utilize 1 or 2 pieces from the set. And I think that's also important, is that like in Diablo 2, one of the reasons why the sets are so good is because a lot of the pieces of the sets are really strong standalone pieces, like without the set bonuses, which is also something that didn't ever occur in Diablo 3, is that a lot of the set bonuses were either, you know, you gotta wear like the whole set, or, you know, you don't get any bonuses really. I mean, they had like 2-piece bonuses on those sets, but they were terrible. Most of the time it was either wear the whole set or don't put any pieces on. I mean, they did have that one set, which was hilarious. It was a set that reduced the number of requirements for the sets, so that you needed less sets. You know,
The ring or whatever.
it was like reduces the number of set requirements by 1 or something. That way you could put on less pieces of the set. The silly thing was is you had to consume a slot to get that. So it was really kind of like catch-22, because it gave you one more slot, but then you took it away with the item that gave you one more slot. What are you hitting for basic damage on your lunging strike, Barb?
Millions.
Like
Depending.
per lunging strike?
Yeah, per crit.
Impressive.
Yeah, one strike's one of the hardest hitting basics in the game.
Yeah, I think on the Necromancer, I mean, if you think about it, Reap is an AoE attack, so that one doesn't really work. Decompose is a channel skill, which I don't know how the hell that one would work out, but I guess it's probably, it would be at decent. Bone Splinters is an AoE attack with 3 to 4 Bone Splinters, and I think they spread the damage out across all of the splinters. I think that's why it doesn't hit as hard. And then the what is it? Hemorrhage. I mean, hemorrhage seems to hit moderately hard, but it seems
you
to
can
be
make it overpower all the time.
yeah. I mean, it seems to be the only one that's really single target on the Necromancer.
It would be an interesting one. Because the basic build would overpower guarantees. Like, you can just keep overpowering and use all the aspects, like all the blood aspects, the Rathmas, all that stuff. It would be probably the most interesting one. But my only problem is scaling. Like, the way we've been scaling a lot of these basic builds was resource stacking.
Yeah. What's up, Con?
Hey, how are you guys?
And then they put a
Sylark level. I need to get through all this stuff.
Oh, you helping Xylor get up?
Yeah, got him at 4.
That's part of my problem with the generic Keystone passives on Necro. Because why can't I do a blood build that stacks essence? Or why can't I do a bone build that stacks overpowered? Like, it's just so limited, those keystones.
I mean, I like the stacking essence builds or the stacking resource builds in general. So I think they could open it up and they could have it be, you know, more than just one type. I don't see any reason why not.
I must wait a moment.
Did you see, Con, that the useless, absolutely useless spider pet killed Duriel and all that by himself?
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw. I didn't watch the video. I saw the thumbnail.
Absolutely
Right.
useless. Absolutely useless.
And they're buffing him. I guess there's a patch note out now that they're buffing the spider pet.
He's useless, what do you mean?
Yeah, he's absolutely useless, guys.
I guess that's why they need to buff him.
I need to make a video that literally just has like a picture of the spider pet and just says useless on it. And just clickbait everybody into it, and then just like compile clips from people like one-shotting Lilith with the spider pet and stuff.
With something like a little music track that doesn't get you demonetized.
There's still people like in the comments. Like I think I looked at the comments for very briefly on the Duriel one, and it was somebody was like still just going, yeah, he's still useless. I can kill Duriel faster than that.
The heck?
I'm like like what? It's like people have never heard of anything additive in their life. Like if he can kill him in 3 minutes and you can kill him in 3 minutes, then you and him together can kill him in 1:05. Not sure if you guys know that, but that actually does work that way because you got 2 people doing the same amount of damage, and that adds up and it gives you double damage, which means double
he's doubling
speed,
your DPS, so
which
he's like,
means
yeah.
it literally doubles your DPS. Like, but I don't need him, and I'm like, well, you didn't need the vampire powers either. What are you talking about? We could complete all the content last season without the vampire powers.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I need to do this stupid quest. What am I doing here? I'll just go. God dang, how the hell am I supposed to get there? That's not the right one. That one's not the right one either. Like, what the heck? There's like no waypoints over here. I guess because I don't have the one waypoint that I'm supposed to have.
I think I get more use out of Penitent Greaves or Flicker Step. I am using an ultimate.
D4 went from being a lousy game to being a lousy game. What was that supposed to mean? I mean, it was pretty terrible when it first started out. It's definitely gotten some upgrades.
I cannot do that here.
Wow.
I saw something on. I wasn't paying attention to it, but something about them banning something over on World of Warcraft. Some sort of bots, I think.
Yeah, by doing a bot wave, and they did a whole announcement for Phase 2 Season of Discovery. So there was a lot of data that came out last night.
I need time to do that.
I still think they should just put a captcha
Time to do that.
on the freaking game. Like every like hour or so, just like as you type in a captcha. You know how annoying that would be for people that run bot programs?
While I'm in town.
Being pretty annoying for the players.
I mean, yeah, but it would be really annoying for the bot player. I mean, you got to think, some of these people got like 56 or like 100 accounts that they're running all at the same time that are running bot programs. Can you imagine having to run around literally all day long just typing in captchas on freaking computers?
Yeah, but it's also pretty easy to target the ones that you think are botting with the captcha prompt. Because like botting is very generic in most case scenarios. The bots are doing a pattern. They're in a certain area for hours or many hours or all day. And like you can very much target a bot from a normal player that's like going to do a dungeon, going to do a raid, sitting in city for an hour, you know, doing PvP. Like the bot's not doing all that. So yeah, you could probably target captchas for sure for certain like behavior, right?
I mean, I've got to disagree with you, Dragger and WoW. The game has increased exponentially since it first came out. I mean, they fixed a lot of stuff, including obviously the addition of resistances, which arguably should have been in the game to begin with. But, I mean, they've worked better on the itemization. They're going more toward Diablo 2 style itemization than they were Diablo 3. The rare items are actually worth something and are valuable, unlike Diablo 3, where the rare items were pretty much garbage for the most part. The creativity in making characters is also on point. I absolutely adore the ability to, like, theory craft and create characters just like in Diablo 2. And honestly, the vaults are really fun too, which is much better endgame content. I feel like a lot of people stopped playing before Season 2, never picked up Season 2, and have no idea how much better the game is from Season 1 to 2. And from Season 2 to 3, it just got even better. No, the camera should be zoomed out. I've said it like every single time, but why are we harping on one specific aspect? I mean, I'm going to call them out on it every single time that I get a chance, but that doesn't mean that that specific one thing completely eliminates the game from being good.
I need time to do that.
Ah, here it is. The worst part of the camera being close is they obviously have the technology to make it zoom out. I mean, but they don't. So, and I don't know what the holdup is there. Maybe now that they fired a whole bunch of people and Microsoft has taken over, they'll make some changes. We got a new president of Blizzard too. I saw that earlier. It was popped up on Twitter. Where was that dude? Ain't it? Diablo 1.31 will be shipping later this week. Patch notes are live on the site for an early look. Okay. Really? They're live on the site? What the hell was that? That was like a couple hours ago. Sounds like we're gonna have to go over patch notes. If it's the crappy patch notes that I saw before, though. Yeah, this is the ones that we saw already. The ones that a couple people went over, but
Like the planned one, yeah.
yeah, that got like ripped off of there. I guess we can go over it real quick. From what I remember, unless they've changed it, it was some pretty bland patch notes.
Could have added to it, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Let's go ahead and run them real quick, and let's see. I'm gonna mute myself, and I'll pull them up on stream.
Yeah. Yep.
Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. Welcome. So we got the patch notes. These are the patch notes that actually got pulled down and then got put back up. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they actually posted these. I think it was a couple days ago, and then they ripped them down and then they put them back up again. And this patch is going to be coming out around February 1st, by the way. So just so you know, this is going to be 1.31. And this was, I think, a planned one that was coming for a while. So I don't think it's got any fixes in it. I think it's just mainly stuff that was already coming before everybody complained, which I didn't complain. I actually like the season. So let's just dig into it together. So the amount of health a monster with the vampiric affix can heal has been reduced from 10 to 5 in World Tier 1, 20 to 10 in World Tier 2, 35 to 15 in World Tier 3, and 50 to 25 in World Tier 4. The vampiric aspect has been kind of like a topic of conversation, especially since it can literally make a monster almost invincible in certain scenarios. I believe in Abattoir of Zir, when they had that last season, it also did that. So that was, yeah. Developers note, in a future patch, will make an additional improvement to the Vampire affix. Projectile attacks from monsters like Khazra's Throw Spear will gain a visual effect when they are imbued with the vampiric affix. This will make it easier to identify which projectiles can heal the monster. The suppressor affix has been adjusted. The suppressor field no longer is always on. It has a 6-second duration and 50 to 75% uptime. So the suppressor affix will be turning on and off. I've actually seen some monsters do that before. I think it was like a bug in one of the earlier patches where some of the monsters would just turn it off, depending on if they had charge abilities and things like that. And it not having 100% uptime, it might actually be pretty nice, especially considering some players have a lot of trouble with suppressor fields, like, for instance, Bone Spear Necromancers. The field can be canceled if the monster with the affix is stunned, frozen, knocked down, or dazed. So that's interesting, too. So basically, you're going to be able to crowd control that monster out of the effect. Of course, you've got to still get inside of it to activate the stun, freeze, or knockdown. We've adjusted the layout of monster spawns for several dungeons. Smaller adjustments have also been made. Nightmare Dungeon sigils will now display the level that monsters will be for the sigils tier. I like that. Season of the Construct. The following updates have been applied to the Send Shell's abilities. Gyrate increased by 30%, Pummel increased by 30%, Bushwhack increased by 30%, Impale increased by 30%, Focus increased by 20%, Lightning Bolt increased by 20%, Firefly increased by 10%, that one's pretty OP, Tempest increased by 10%, that one's pretty OP too. I don't think these needed buffs. I think this is kind of like an overreach. People complained, and now they're buffing it. I don't think it really needs the buffs, but I think it's too late. The complaints made it their way through. There's already a couple videos out, by the way, of literally the Seneschal soloing Lilith and Duriel. So, Reconstruct. Healing increased from 22 to 32% maximum life at level 1. The heal goes up. At level 10, the healing is increased from 40 to 50% maximum life. Frigid support. Damage increased from 50 to 60% of the supported skills. Bleeding, 50 to 60. Electrocution, 50 to 60. Poison support, 50 to 60. So they're upping the percent conversion. That's pretty nice. Dusk and burning. So all of these are the ones that are actually really good for specific classes. So, if you're a bleed barbarian, you probably want to be using the bleeding because it gives you a really nice bonus. If you're like a poison or a dusk or burning characters, it's pretty good to run these as well because it gives you additional poison, shadow and burn. Shadow, the dusk support can actually trigger Shadow Blight key passive and so forth and so on. The burning one can obviously increase your burning damage through the combustion aspect, key passive, and so forth and so on. The electrocution one can stun things, and there's quite a few ways that you can get additional damage bumps from stunning targets. Like, for instance, The aspect or the enchantment on the sorceress with charged bolt gives you additional charged bolts whenever the monsters are stunned. So having something provide extra stuns means more charged bolts coming out when the monster is stunned, and so forth and so on. It's kind of an interesting change there. Just more of a conversion to that specific element for that specific character that might need the additional burning support. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue where the screen reader did not read out available points in the skill tree or Paragon menus. Fixed an issue where the screen reader didn't function properly when viewing possible affixes when enchanting. Fixed an issue where the screen reader didn't announce if an active governing stone would function with a highlighted tuning stone. Fixed an issue where the screen reader pronounced the rank incorrectly when ranking up the seneschal. Fixed an issue where the screen reader didn't properly communicate the text related to smoldering ashes. Fixed an issue where the screen reader didn't read out the titles of the tabs in the social menu. Season of the Construct. Fixed an issue where the Journey chapters 5 and 6 did not reflect the item power for the rewards received from completing the chapters. Fixed an issue where Iuzan was missing from the gate hall after the seasonal quest line was completed. Fixed an issue where Iuzan didn't attack enemies during the tomb request. Fixed an issue where a duplicate Iuzan could be seen during a body stolen, a body made quest. Look in my eyes, I've got double vision. Fixed an issue where a body stolen, a body made could have progression blocked if all enemies were killed before the objective updates to destroy the corrupted runestones. Fixed an issue where fog wall encounter and a body stolen, body made quest could malfunction when playing in a party. Fixed an issue where the player could get stuck between a wall and a chest during the miracle quest. Fixed an issue where items carried on the player's character's back could become invisible during the miracle quest. Fixed an issue where the World He Knew quest could not be completed if all central stones had already been upgraded to max level. I don't know if anybody had that issue. Fixed an issue where the World He Knew quest displayed that the player must craft a tuning stone, when instead the objective is to craft a central cache. Fixed an issue where progressing through the drums of the Vault quest could cause instability in the local co-op play. Fixed multiple issues where the quest progression of a support wound could be blocked if the player is teleported and back. Fixed an issue where the dungeon could be left before completing the Ennead quest. Fixed an issue where the essential ability Gyrate displayed an incorrect damage value for the next rank of the ability. Fixed an issue where the chill stacks from the Seneschal Frigid support ability would not apply in certain circumstances, such as when a player dies and is revived. Fixed an issue where damage over time effects by the Seneschal did not benefit from class passives or legendary item effects, such as burning damage not benefiting from the Sorcerer's Warmth. Interesting. So that should beef up the burning damage when using the burning Seneschal right there. That's a really nice one. So this actually answers the question, by the way, that I think we've all had, which is, does the Seneschal benefit from class passives and legendary item effects? And I think the answer to this question is yes. Because obviously they're fixing it so that they work, and they should have worked, but they didn't, and they are making sure that they do. So in this particular case, we now have confirmation that yes, the class passives and legendary effects do in fact affect the Seneschal. Fixed various other UI issues related to the Seneschal. Fixed an issue where the Seneschal cast could be open before acquiring a Seneschal, which would result in getting nothing from the cache. Fixed an issue where tuning and governing stones rarities didn't display properly when socketed. Fixed an issue where slowing tuning stones had the wrong name in the tooltip when dropped on the ground. Fixed an issue when multiple tuning stone tooltips won't update when paired with a duration stone. Fixed an issue where the Son of Malphus could be damaged by traps, which could lead players first encountering him with low health. Fixed an issue where turret traps could fire invisible projectiles. Oof. That's a big oof. Fixed an issue where lightning floor traps could still affect player characters with various immune effects active, such as blood mist or deep freeze. Fixed an issue where rotating pillar traps could not fully go back underground if the player died and came back to where the trap was. Fixed an issue where the visual effect for damage over time applied by trapped chests did not last the entire duration of the damage. Fixed an issue where the gate hall displayed an alchemist as an available service in the map. Fixed an issue where the Ritual of Undoing menu displayed placeholder text. Fixed an issue where players couldn't use the Leave Dungeon while inside the library in various circumstances. Fixed an issue where the warning prompt about removing charges was missing when using Leave Dungeon to exit the vault. Various miscellaneous fixes for the seasonal quest line. Fixed an issue where the Ring of the Starless Skies wouldn't grant stacks when casting channeled skills. Ooh, Chunks will be happy. Fixed an issue where the rogue being frozen mid-dash could be unable to cast any skills. Fixed an issue where the blood mark could not be cleansed if it was applied while mounted. Fixed an issue where whirlwind could channel and stay in place when using keyboard navigation in a certain circumstances when using a controller. So you could just whirlwind in place. Dungeons and strongholds fixed an issue where the animus could not drop in the broken bulwark or dark ravine, which would block progression. Fixed an issue where the fog wall in the zenith could be passed through while the player was under the effect of the conduit shrine. Fixed an issue where slay enemies objective in various dungeons could fail to update properly, which would block progression. Fixed an issue where Bagel Moth, Bagel Moth, I know that's not how you say his name, Bagel Moth in Turtulra could leave the boss arena if another player in the party was outside the fog wall. Fixed an issue where players could sometimes not leave the dungeon through the emote wheel or the dungeon's entrance. That's a big issue this season. Fixed an issue where Watchmen could spawn outside the map light switch, which will block progression. Fixed an issue where progression in the Fallen Temple could be blocked if the idol was killed too quickly. User interface and user experience. Fixed an issue where the Sorcerer's Incinerate skill didn't have additional visual effects when cast with 10 plus ranks. Fixed an issue where hits from the Barbarian's Frenzy did not display damage numbers consistently. Fixed an issue where damage over time visual effects didn't appear correctly on some Necromancers. Fixed an issue where players could move around with the keyboard controls while engaged in a trade. Fixed an issue where movement was not interrupted when using keyboard controls and interacting with the stash. Fixed an issue where the mouse interaction with chat could malfunction when keyboard controls were enabled. Fixed an issue where the selection would not be saved when applying a cosmetic in effects tab. Fixed an issue where the actions mapped to the action wheel could still function while in menus, which could cause odd behaviors. Dirt's a little dry. Fixed an issue where the Battle Pass rewards that grant the title only displayed the prefix and not the suffix of the title. Fixed an issue where the names for the enhanced penetrating shot and improved penetrating shot skill were reversed. Fixed an issue where the notification for cosmetics in the stable wouldn't disappear. Fixed an issue where stat comparisons between two items or when upgrading could display inaccurately if the items being compared had multiple sources of the same stat, e.g. comparing two totems with cooldown reduction. Both have cooldown reduction as an inherent affix and as an additional affix. Fixed an issue where assigned emotes could still be labeled as unassigned in the emote menu. Fixed an issue where the cursor would not be visible when opening a lore book while using keyboard navigation. Fixed an issue where assigning skills to number pads did not properly display what skill bindings were in the UI. Fixed an issue where the players listed and local players were not sorted properly. Fixed an issue where the reset to default button in options menus didn't function. Fixed an issue where the game could become unstable when viewing the well-supplied challenge in collections. Fixed multiple issues where the settings for changing between keyboard and mouse navigation had slightly inaccurate description text. Fixed multiple instances where Fog of War was not displaying properly. Various quality of life fixes for respec mode. Miscellaneous fixed various instances where invites would not send properly while having a local co-op pair in the party. Fixed an issue where crafting the elixir of lightning resistance failed to account for the master mixology challenge. Fixed an issue where the portal cosmetic did not apply to portals used when teleporting into a nightmare dungeon through the map. Fixed an issue where the Harlequin crest was the wrong color when equipped. It's going to be green now. It's going to be ugly green. It's going to be doo-doo brown, poo-poo caca green, like baby poop green. It's going to be baby poop green, you watch. Various performances and stability UI improvements. I mean, overall, there's not really a whole lot in here. Little things that are fixed. The Ring of the Starless Sky. I kind of like the Harlequin crest getting fixed. Season of the Construct, Seneschal got buffed up a bunch. I don't really think it needed it, but I think that's just an overreach from people complaining. And honestly, I think now that people have seen the full power potential of this particular spider, I don't really think this is warranted. It's probably just going to bump him up even more. It's going to be nasty. Also, we got confirmation that passive effects actually do work with the Seneschal, so that was really nice. That was through the fix in the passive abilities, which we did not know about previously. So now that we know that the Seneschal does indeed work with class passives and legendary effects, this is a 100% confirmation. Now you can spend more time even customizing your Seneschal even better than it was before. And that's nice. And, I mean, we got some other fixes here, like, for instance, the fix to the suppressor field, which should be kind of interesting. And then the fix to the vampiric affix, which the suppressor and the vampiric are probably two of the most annoying affixes. They're not really difficult, but especially when you have like multiple suppressor fields on top of each other, or like the monster is already ridiculously hard to kill, and then they throw a vampiric on there, kind of makes it next to impossible. A lot of this is just pretty generic fixes, nothing too super crazy. I mean, some trap fixes, I mean, nothing too great there. They seem to be working on the whole leave dungeon not working problem, so that's nice. I don't see any mention in here of the invisible bosses. And, I mean, it's a patch. There's stuff in it. It's not really like too super duper ridiculously exciting. I mean, this right here is going to be nuts. The freaking Seneschal was already doing way too much damage anyway. And people were just complaining. They're like, he's useless. Meanwhile, he's like one-shotting freaking Duriel. I don't even, you know, people are stupid sometimes. Just the sheer fact that literally, like, they were complaining about the Seneschal, like, so bad that the Seneschal sucked. And then people come up with videos, literally, like, of killing Lilith with the spider. Like, just the spider kills Lilith. And now we've got damage bumps. So now not only does the Seneschal kill Lilith by himself, but now the Seneschal is going to be able to kill Lilith by himself and then some. So he'll just be able to do it even faster now. I think that's pretty much it for this one. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these patch note videos. And as always, keep watching.